If you've been watching my videos or taking any of my courses for some time, you would notice that I'm a big advocate of strong light dark mass shapes in your paintings. It is the strong mass shapes that give a painting a lot of impact and structure and form that strong foundation to build up your painting in various layers. You'll also know that in my sketches and Notan studies, I tend to look at a large dark mass shape and try and offset all the lights and impact from that dark mass. So let's say that you've put in your dark masses and your middle values and your light masses into the beginning of your painting. What then? How do you progress from that point and not lose all of this structure that you've set up right from the beginning? I'm going to have a look at some examples of a painting where I've used a strong light dark Notan as the basis of a painting and show you how to develop from there without losing that structure, but also not having a boring and flat painting that is lacking in any sort of detail as well. And the idea of suggestion as well comes into it. So let's have a quick look at how to progress from the start of your painting. Okay, let's have a look at a few examples where I've used a good strong light dark relationship. In this initial study over here, I have used the darkest background area and created a good strong block of dark which is going to set off nicely against these yachts. So we've got that dark area, then we've got a large middle value area with the water, and then of course the light yachts that are going to be sparkling on the water. So we've got to keep this structure and get from that point to the final painting. Obviously we want a painting to remain interesting. Okay, so as you can see, the relationships here are still in the same order. We've got the dark, we've got the middle values, we've got the light yachts. And we've even got, let's say, a second middle value in that distant region there. So these relationships between these four values remain intact. However, we've added still a lot of interest within. So there's plenty of details and there's things going on in the background and in the water especially, and in the yachts there's a lot of suggested information. However, the overall shape of the water, for instance, remains within the middle value band that we started, and the dark mass at the back remains the darkest dark mass, but there is a suggestion of things in there that makes it more interesting. And the light yachts, there's a lot of suggestion of things within those shapes that make it interesting to look at, but the relationship between the lightest light yacht and the middle value and the dark mass at the back all remain the same. So here's another example where I've taken this reference and I've cropped that to more or less this shape to make this painting over here. We've got this big dark area of the dune, and that's going to be our darkest dark. We've got the highlights, sun-filled highlights on the light-filled dune. That's going to be the lightest light. The sea is going to be a middle value, and the other foliage also a middle value as well. Now, if you look at the concluded painting, you see those relationships are all still the same. The darks still contain a lot of information. There's a lot of suggestion of shapes and detail within that dark mass shape. However, we've kept the mass shape intact. It's still clearly the darkest dark. So all our information we've put in here, all the suggestion of sticks and foliage and footprints or whatever it is in the sand, has been put there with colors that fall within that darkest dark section of the painting. It hasn't changed it into a middle value or a light. Also within the lights here, all the information in there is not changing the overall nature of the lightest mass shape, and therefore the relationships all pretty much the same. In the sea, yes, we have got some highlights in the waves, etc., but they are relatively small in relation to the entire size of this shape representing where the sea is. So overall, it still remains within that middle value band that we started out with. So you develop your painting, adding details into it, the various parts of the painting, and the colors used will all fall within that overall dark mass or light mass or middle value mass. So that is pretty much the roadmap that you must use when developing your painting, to keep it all within that original structure that you set up right from the start in your Notan drawings, and then your blocking in of the Notan on your canvas when you started the painting. So I hope this kind of gives the idea of how to progress from there, always looking at those relationships between the mass shapes and making sure that what you're putting in to those mass shapes is not going to change it from a dark to a middle value or from a light to a dark and whatever. Keep the relationships intact, but still add in plenty of interesting shapes and information that will be pleasing to the viewer of your painting.